ça, pas de problème. That's her. Please? Ma'am.
hello, 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 hello. دا ډایرکټ څه کوم دی؟ hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 mic check, hello, mic check, hello, mic check, hello, mic check. टिक ते सही ना.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار فأنقذكم منها كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تهتدون صدق الله العظيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful,
والصلاة والسلام
praise be to Allah,
على رسول الله.
and peace and blessings be upon His
حمد
Messenger.
الرئيس
Your Excellency,
Trump.
Mr. Donald Trump,
رئيس الولايات المتحدة
the
الأمريكية،
President of the United States of America,
صديقة أصحاب الجلالة
Your
والفخامة
Majesties,
والسمو،
Your Excellencies, Your
أحييكم
Highnesses, I would like to welcome you to your second country, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
وليسمح لي
Leaders of
قدر
both
العالمين العالمين
the
العربي
Arab
والإسلامي
and Muslim worlds,
أن أرحب
please allow
بفخامة
me
الرئيس
to welcome
الصديق
His Excellency,
دونالد
our
ترامب،
friend Mr.
رئيس
Donald Trump,
الولايات المتحدة
the
الأمريكية،
President of the United
في قمة
States,
تاريخية
in a historic, unprecedented
مسبوقة
summit
تنعقد في
that
وقت
is
شديد
held at a
الأهمية
time of
وغاية الخطورة.
paramount importance and extreme danger.
أن لقاءنا هذا
Our meeting
بفخامة
with
رئيس
the
الولايات
President of the
المتحدة
United
الأمريكية
States
التي تربطها
country
بالكثير من دولنا
that has
تواصل
deep
صداقة
and friendly
والعلاقة
relations with
الوطيدة
many of our countries
يجسد اهتمام
embodies
فخامته
His Excellency's interest
وحرصه على
in
توثيق
and
التعاون
keenness on
والاستمرار
deepening
في تنسيق
cooperation
المواقف
and continuing to
مختلف
coordinate
المجالات.
positions in different fields.
ودلالات
It also
كبرى
signifies that
والدليل
our
كبيرة
Arab
على أن
and Muslim
الدول العربية
countries
والإسلامية
that are gathering today
المجتمع اليوم قد بلغت
and whose number is
55 دولة
55 and
ويتجاوز
whose population exceeds
عدد سكانها المليار ونصف المليار
1.5 billion people
تعد
are
شريكا
important
مهما
partners
في
in
محاربة
fighting
التطرف
the forces of
والإرهاب
extremism and
في تحقيق
terrorism,
الأمن
as well
والاستقرار
as in achieving world
والسلم العالمي.
security, stability, and peace.
ويحن فخامته في
His
جلبة
Excellency
الكثير
has many hopes and
للآمال
aspirations
والطموحات
for cooperation
التعاون مع العالم
with the
العربي
Arab and
والإسلامي.
Muslim worlds.
وإننا إذ
As we
نتقدم
thank His Excellency
والتقدير
and appreciate his
بفخامته
attending
استجابته
and
الحضور
participating in this
والمشاركة
summit,
في هذه القمة لنؤكد
we would like
سعادتنا
to confirm
وامتناننا
our
باختياره
pleasure and
اختيار
appreciation
بلادكم
for His
الموقع
choosing
السعودية
your country, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and your summit as His first foreign trip and participation,
بفخامته
which
ما
reflects
يعكس وما
His
يريد
interest and
فخامته
the interest of
وبلاده
His country
اهتمام
in your blessed summit.
بقيمتكم المباركة كما
At the same time,
نؤكد في
we
الوقت ذاته
confirm that
أننا
we share
نبادر نفس
with
المشاعر
His Excellency the
السامية
same noble feelings
والتعاون في
of
البناء
constructive
من
cooperation
التطرف
to
والعمل
reject extremism, work on fighting all forms of terrorism, stop its financing and its propagation, dry up its sources, and stand firm in confronting this scourge that poses a danger
الآفة الخطيرة على الإنسانية جمعاء.
to all of humanity.
ونجتمع اليوم
We
في
are
هذه
gathered
القمة
here today at this summit
نعبر عن
to express
الجدية في اتخاذ
seriousness in
الخطوات
taking vigorous
الحثيثة
steps to
لتعزيز
realize a true
شراكة
partnership
حقيقية
with the friendly
مع
United
الولايات
States
المتحدة الأمريكية الصديقة ما يخدم
in a way
مصالحنا
that
المشتركة
serves our common
ويسعى
interests
في تحقيق
and
الأمن
contributes to
والسلام
achieving
والتنمية
security, peace, and
للبشرية
development
كلها.
for all of
وما
humanity.
يؤكده دين الإسلام
This is what
الحنيف.
our straightforward
أيها
Islamic
الإخوة
religion
والأصدقاء
confirms.
الأعزاء،
Dear brothers and
إن
friends,
مسؤوليتنا
our responsibilities towards God,
أمام
towards
شعوبنا
our peoples,
والعالم
and
أجمع
towards the entire world
أن نقف
is to stand
متحدين
united
لمحاربة
to fight
والشر
the forces
والتطرف
of
أيا
evil
كان
and
أيا
extremism,
كان مصدرها
whatever
امتثالا
their sources
لأمر
are,
ديننا
in
الإسلامي
response
الحنيف.
to the dictates of
فقد
our
كان
Islamic
الإسلام
religion.
وسيبقى
Islam
دين
was and will
الرحمة
always be the religion of
والسماحة
mercy,
والتعايش.
tolerance, and coexistence. as confirmed by brilliant precedents. In its prosperous times, Islam provided the best examples of coexistence and harmony among followers of religions and cultures. However, we see today that some presumed Muslims seek to present a distorted picture of religion, a picture that seeks to conflate this great religion with violence. We say to our Muslim brothers and sisters, our sons and daughters, everywhere, that one of the most important goals of Islamic Sharia is protecting life, and that there is no honor in committing murder. Islam is the religion of peace and tolerance. It urges its followers to develop earth and forbids them from corrupting it. It considers killing an innocent soul tantamount to killing all of humanity. Our way to achieve the goals of our religion and win everlasting life in heaven is to promote the tolerant values of Islam, which are based on peace, moderation, and refraining from destroying and corrupting earth. We all, peoples and countries, reject in every language and denounce in every form damaging the relations of Muslim countries with friendly countries and profiling peoples and countries on a religious or sectarian basis. These odious acts are the products of attempts to exploit Islam as a cover for political purposes, to flame hatred, extremism, terrorism, and religious and sectarian conflicts, as the Iranian regime and the groups and organizations tied to it do, such as Hezbollah and the Houthis, as well as Daesh, Al-Qaeda, and others. The Iranian regime has been the spearhead of global terrorism since the Khomeini revolution until now. We have been in this country for 300 years and have known no terrorism or extremism until the Khomeini revolution began in 1979. Iran has turned down all good neighborliness initiatives offered by our nations with goodwill. It has responded with expansionist aspirations, criminal practices, and interference in the internal affairs of other countries, thus violating the principles of international law, good neighborliness, and mutual respect and coexistence. The Iranian regime thought that our silence was weakness and our wisdom was retreat until we had enough of its hostile practices and interference, as we witness in Yemen and other countries in the region. As we say this, we assert at the same time our respect and appreciation for the Iranian people. We do not hold people responsible for the actions of their regime. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has long suffered from terrorism and has been the target for it because Saudi Arabia is the center of Islam and the Qibla for all Muslims. Terrorist ideology seeks to achieve its fake legitimacy and its spread through targeting the Qibla of all Muslims and the center of their weight. We have succeeded in confronting terrorist actions, foiling many terrorist attempts. We have also helped our brothers and friends around the world to avoid plots targeting their security and stability. Dear brothers and friends, in our continued efforts in confronting terrorism, the GCC states concluded today a historic agreement with the United States of America to adopt strict measures to target financing terrorism by establishing a center in Riyadh to target terrorism financing. We look forward to more countries joining the center in the future, as this agreement will be a model to follow. Will be a model to follow based on our existing efforts in this regard. I confirm on behalf of my brothers, the attending leaders of the Islamic countries, that we will be firm in prosecuting anyone who finances or supports terrorism in any shape or form and bring him to justice. Mr. President, dear brothers and friends, in our continued war on terrorism, we confirm our resolve to eradicate Daesh and other terrorist organizations, regardless of their religion, sect, or ideology. That was the reason we all formed the Islamic Military Alliance to fight terrorism, which was a pioneering step to curb terrorism. Terrorism is a result of extremism. In light of the need to confront terrorism, we declare today launching the Global Center for Combating Extremist Ideology, which aims to disseminate the principles of moderation and tolerance, confront attempts to deceive the young, shield families and societies, and refute the frail claims of terrorists by cooperating with peace-loving nations and international organizations. Dear brothers and friends, achieved
بل التنمية المستدامة هي جزء جرعة التحسين الناجح
للناس
وما تجسد رؤية المملكة السعودية 2030 في جوانبها المختلفة من الحرص على استثمار الشباب وتمكين المرأة وتنويع الاقتصاد وتطوير التعليم بدون شك أن المملكة السعودية
The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia undoubtedly supports and encourages every effort by any brotherly or friendly nation that aims at accomplishing sustainable development in their countries. We emphasize that achieving peace between the Palestinians and the Israelis is a just and crucial demand which requires shared sacrifice and sincere determination for the benefit of all. The international community should intensify its efforts to resolve the Syrian crisis, to achieve the aspirations of the Syrian people, and preserve Syria's unity and sovereignty. Your Majesties, Your Excellencies, Your Highnesses, the hopes and aspirations of our peoples are huge, and our responsibilities to achieve them are great. But your resolve, keenness, and care will enable us to face these duties with will and firmness, and we are committed to development as a strategic goal to confront extremism and terrorism and provide a prosperous life. May God help us achieve the good for our peoples. God bless you.
Now I give the floor to His Excellency the President of the United States of America, Mr. Donald Trump. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. I would like to thank King Salman for his extraordinary words and the magnificent Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for hosting today's summit. I am honored to be received by such gracious hosts. I have always heard about the splendor of your country and the kindness of your citizens, but words do not do justice to the grandeur of this remarkable place and the incredible hospitality you have shown us from the moment we arrived. You also hosted me in the treasured home of King Abdulaziz, the founder of the kingdom, who united your great people. Working alongside of another beloved leader, American President Franklin Roosevelt, King Abdulaziz began the enduring partnership between our two countries. King Salman, your father, would be very, very proud to see that you are continuing his legacy. And just as he opened the first chapter of our partnership, today we begin a new chapter that will bring lasting benefits to all of our citizens. Let me now also extend my deep and heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of the distinguished heads of state who made this journey here today. You greatly honor us with your presence, and I send the warmest regards from my country to yours. Thank you. I know that our time together will bring many blessings to both your people and to mine. I stand before you as a representative of the American people to deliver a message of friendship and hope and love. That is why I chose to make my first foreign visit a trip to the heart of the Muslim world, to the nation that serves as custodian of the two holiest sites in the Islamic faith. In my inaugural address to the American people, I pledge to strengthen America's oldest friendships and to build new partnerships in pursuit of peace. I also promise that America will not seek to impose our way of life on others, but to outstretch our hands in the spirit of cooperation and trust. Our vision is one of peace, security, and prosperity in this region and all throughout the world. Our goal is a coalition of nations who share the aim of stamping out extremism and providing our children a hopeful future that does honor to God. And so this historic and unprecedented gathering of leaders, unique in the history of nations, is a symbol to the world of our shared resolve
باستثمارات حققت رقما قياسيا ستحمي أمن شعبنا وتحسن أمن أصدقائنا الرائعين وحلفائنا. العديد منهم مجموعون.
Bonds of friendship, security, culture, and commerce. For Americans, this is a very exciting time. A new spirit of optimism is sweeping our country. In just a few months, we have created almost 1 million new jobs, added over $3 trillion in new value, lifted the burdens on American industry, and made record investments in our military that will protect the safety of our people and enhance the security of our wonderful friends and allies, many of whom are here today. Now, there is even more blessed news that I am pleased to share with you. My meetings with King Salman, the Crown Prince, and the Deputy Crown Prince have been filled with great warmth, goodwill, and tremendous cooperation. Yesterday, we signed historic agreements with the Kingdom that will invest almost $400 billion in our two countries and create many hundreds of thousands of jobs in America and Saudi Arabia. This landmark agreement includes the announcement of a $110 billion Saudi-funded defense purchase, and we will be sure to help our Saudi friends to get a good deal from our great American defense companies, the greatest anywhere in the world. This agreement will help the Saudi military to take a far greater role in security and operations having to do with security. We have also started discussions with many of the countries present today on strengthening partnerships and forming new ones to advance security and stability across the Middle East and far beyond. Later today, we will make history again with the opening of the new Global Center for Combating Extremist Ideology, located right here in this central part of the Islamic world. This groundbreaking new center represents a clear declaration that Muslim-majority countries must take the lead in combating radicalization, and I want to express our gratitude to King Salman for his strong demonstration and his absolutely incredible and powerful leadership. I have had the pleasure of welcoming several of the leaders present today to the White House, and I look forward to working with all of you. America is a sovereign nation, and our first priority is always the safety and security of our citizens. We are not here to lecture. We are not here to tell other people how to live, what to do, who to be, or how to worship. Instead, we are here to offer partnership based on shared interests and values to pursue a better future.
السعي إلى مستقبل أفضل لكلنا. فهنا في هذه القمة سوف نناقش المصالح كثيرة
But above all, we must be united in pursuing the one goal that transcends every other consideration. That goal is to meet history's great test, to conquer extremism and vanquish the forces that terrorism brings with it every single time. Young Muslim boys and girls should be able to grow up free from fear, safe from violence, and innocent of hatred. When young Muslim men and women should have the chance to build a new era of prosperity for themselves, it has to be done, and we have to let them do it. With God's help, this summit will mark the beginning of the end for those who practice terror and spread its vile creed. At the same time, we pray this special gathering may someday be remembered as the beginning of peace in the Middle East, and maybe even all over the world. But this future can only be achieved through defeating terrorism and the ideology that drives it. Few nations have been spared the violent reach of terrorism. America has suffered repeated barbaric attacks, from the atrocities of September 11th to the devastation of the Boston bombings to the horrible killings in San Bernardino and Orlando. The nations of Europe have also endured unspeakable horror. So too have the nations of Africa and South America. India, Russia, China, and Australia have all been victims. But in sheer numbers, the deadliest toll has been exacted on the innocent people of Arab, Muslim, and Middle Eastern nations. They have borne the brunt of the killings and the worst of the destruction in this wave of fanatical violence. Some estimates hold that more than 95% of the victims of terrorism are themselves Muslim. We now face a humanitarian and security disaster in this region that is spreading across the planet. It is a tragedy of epic proportions. No description of the suffering and depravity can begin to capture its full measure. The control of ISIS, if you look at what's happening, Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, Hamas, and so many others must be counted not only in the number of dead, it also must be counted in generations of vanished dreams. The Middle East is rich with natural beauty, vibrant cultures, and massive amounts of historic treasures. It should increasingly become one of the great global centers of commerce and opportunity. This region should not be a place from which refugees flee, but to which newcomers flock. Saudi Arabia is home to the holiest sites in one of the world's great faiths. Each year, millions of Muslims come from around the world to Saudi Arabia to take part in the Hajj. In addition to ancient wonders, this country is also home to modern ones, including soaring achievements in architecture. Egypt was a thriving center of learning and achievement thousands of years before other parts of the world. The wonders of Giza, Luxor, and Alexandria are proud monuments to that ancient heritage. All over the world, people dream of walking through the ruins of Petra in Jordan. Iraq was the cradle of civilization and is a land of natural beauty. And the United Arab Emirates has reached incredible heights with glass and steel and turned earth and water into spectacular works of art. The entire region is at the center of the key shipping lanes of the Suez Canal, the Red Sea, and the Straits of Hormuz. The potential of this region has never, ever been greater. 65% of its population is under the age of 30. Like all young men and women, they seek great futures to build, great national projects to join, and a place for their families to call home. But this untapped potential, this tremendous cause of optimism, is held at bay by bloodshed and terror. There can be no coexistence with this violence. There can be no tolerating it, no accepting it, no excusing it, and no ignoring it. Every time a terrorist murders an innocent person and falsely invokes the name of God, it should be an insult to every person of faith. Terrorists do not worship God, they worship death. If we do not act against this organized terror, then we know what will happen and what will be the end result. Terrorism's devastation of life will continue to spread. Peaceful societies will become engulfed by violence, and the futures of many generations will be sadly squandered. If we do not stand in uniform condemnation of this killing, then not only will we be judged by our people, not only will we be judged by history, but we will be judged by God. This is not a battle between different faiths, different sects, or different civilizations. This is a battle between barbaric criminals who seek to obliterate human life and decent people, all in the name of religion. People that want to protect life and want to protect their religion. This is a battle between good and evil. When we see the scenes of destruction in the wake of terror, we see no signs that those murdered were Jewish or Christian, Shia or Sunni. When we look upon the strains of innocent blood soaked into the ancient ground, we cannot see the faith or sect or tribe of the victims. We see only that they were children of God whose deaths are an insult to all that is holy. But we can only overcome this evil if the forces of good are united and strong, and if everyone in this room does their fair share and fulfills their part of the burden. Terrorism has spread all across the world, but the path to peace begins right here on this ancient soil in this sacred land. America is prepared to stand with you in pursuit of shared interests and common security. But the nations of the Middle East cannot wait for American power to crush this enemy for them. The nations of the Middle East will have to decide what kind of future they want for themselves, for their country, and frankly, for their families and for their children. It's a choice between two futures, and it is a choice America cannot make for you. A better future is only possible if your nations drive out the terrorists and drive out the extremists. Drive them out. Drive them out of your places of worship. Drive them out of your communities. Drive them out of your holy land. And drive them out of this earth. For our part, America is committed to adjusting our strategies to meet evolving threats and new facts. We will discard those strategies that have not worked and will apply new approaches informed by experience, talent, and judgment. We are adopting a principled realism rooted in common values, shared interests, and common sense. Our friends will never question our support, and our enemies will never doubt our determination. Our partnerships will advance security through stability, not through radical disruption. We will make decisions based on real-world outcomes, not inflexible ideology. We will be guided by the lessons of experience, not the confines of rigid thinking. And wherever possible, we will seek gradual reforms, not sudden intervention. We must seek partners, not perfection, and to make allies of all who share our goals. Above all, America seeks peace, not war. Muslim nations must be willing to take on the burden if we are going to defeat terrorism and send its wicked ideology into oblivion. The first task in this joint effort is for your nations to deny all territory to the foot soldiers of evil. Every country in the region has an absolute duty to ensure that terrorists find no sanctuary on their soil. Many are already making significant contributions to regional security. Jordanian pilots are crucial partners against ISIS in Syria and Iraq. Saudi Arabia and a regional coalition have taken strong action against Houthi militants in Yemen. The Lebanese army is hunting ISIS operatives who try to infiltrate their territory. Emirati troops are supporting our Afghan partners and supporting them strongly. In Mosul, American troops are supporting Kurds, Sunnis, and Shias fighting together for their homeland. Qatar, which hosts the U.S. Central Command, is a crucial strategic partner. Our long-standing partnership with Kuwait and Bahrain continue to enhance security in the region. Our courageous Afghan soldiers are making tremendous sacrifices in the fight against the Taliban and others in the fight for their country. As we deny terrorist organization control of territory and populations, we must also strip them of their access to funds. We must cut off the financial channels that let ISIS sell oil, let extremists pay their fighters, and help terrorists smuggle their reinforcements. I am proud to announce that the nations here today will be signing an agreement to prevent the financing of terrorism, called the Terrorist Financing Targeting Center, co-chaired by the United States and Saudi Arabia, and joined by every member of the Gulf Cooperation Council. It is another historic step in a day that will be long remembered. I also applaud the Gulf Cooperation Council for blocking funders from using their countries as a financial base for terror, and for designating Hezbollah as a terrorist organization, which they certainly are, last year. Saudi Arabia also joined us this week in placing sanctions on one of the most senior leaders of Hezbollah. Of course, there is still much work to be done. That means honestly confronting the crisis of Islamic extremism and the Islamists and Islamic terror of all kinds. We must stop what they're doing to inspire, because they do nothing to inspire but kill. And we are having a very profound effect if you look at what's happened recently. And it means standing together against the murder of innocent Muslims, the oppression of women, the persecution of Jews, and the slaughter of Christians. Religious leaders must make this absolutely clear. Barbarism will deliver you no glory. Piety to evil will bring you no dignity. If you choose the path of terror, your life will be empty, your life will be brief, and your soul will be fully condemned. And political leaders must speak out to affirm the same idea. Heroes don't kill innocents, they save them. Many nations here today have taken important steps to raise up that message. Saudi Arabia's vision for 2030 is an important and encouraging statement of tolerance, respect, empowering women, and economic development. The United Arab Emirates has also engaged in the battle for the hearts and souls, and with the United States launched a center to counter the online spread of hate. Bahrain, too, is working to undermine recruitment and radicalism. I also applaud Jordan, Turkey, and Lebanon for their role in hosting refugees. The surge of migrants and refugees living so poorly that they're forced to leave the Middle East depletes the human capital needed to build stable societies and economies. Instead of depriving this region of so much human potential, Middle Eastern countries can give young people hope for a brighter future in their home nations and regions. That means promoting the aspirations and dreams of all citizens who seek a better life, including women, children, and the followers of all faiths. Numerous Arab and Islamic scholars have eloquently argued that protecting equality strengthens Arab and Muslim communities. For many centuries, the Middle East has been home to Christians, Muslims, and Jews living side by side. We must practice tolerance and respect for each other once again, and make this region a place where every man and woman, no matter their faith or ethnicity, can enjoy a life of dignity and hope. In that spirit, after concluding my residence in a fabulous place that we're at today, Riyadh, which I've gotten to know so well in so short a time, I will travel to Jerusalem and Bethlehem and then to the Vatican, visiting many of the holiest places in the three Abrahamic faiths. If these three faiths can join together in cooperation, then peace in this world is possible, including peace between Israelis and Palestinians. I will be meeting with both Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Palestinian President Abbas. Starving terrorists of their territory, of their funding, and the false allure of the craven ideology will be the basis for easily defeating them. But no discussion of stamping out this threat would be complete without mentioning the government that gives terrorists all three: safe harbor, financial backing, and the social standing needed for recruitment. It is a regime that is responsible for so much instability in that region. I am speaking, of course, of Iran. From Lebanon to Iraq to Yemen, Iran funds arms and trains terrorists, militias, and other extremist groups that spread destruction and chaos across the region. For decades, Iran has fueled the fires of sectarian conflict and terror. It is a government that speaks openly of mass murder, vowing the destruction of Israel, death to America, and ruin for many leaders and nations in this very room. Among Iran's most tragic and destabilizing interventions, you've seen it in Syria. Bolstered by Iran, Assad has committed unspeakable crimes, and the United States has taken firm action in response to the use of banned chemical weapons by the Assad regime, launching 59 missiles at the Syrian airbase from where that murderous attack originated. Responsible nations must work together to end the humanitarian crisis in Syria, eradicate ISIS, and restore stability to the region, and as quickly as possible. The Iranian regime's longest-suffering victims are its own people. Iran has a rich history and culture, but the people of Iran have endured hardship and despair under their leaders' reckless pursuit of conflict and terror. Until the Iranian regime is willing to be a partner for peace, all nations of conscience must work together to isolate Iran, deny it. Funding for terrorism cannot do it. And pray for the day when the Iranian people have the just and righteous government they so richly deserve. The decisions we make will affect countless lives. King Salman, I thank you for the creation of this great moment in history and for your massive investments in America and its industries and its jobs. I also thank you for investing in the future of this part of the world. The fertile region, and it is so fertile, has all of the ingredients for extraordinary success: a rich history and culture, a young and vibrant people, a thriving spirit of enterprise, But you can only unlock this future if the citizens of the Middle East are freed from extremism, terror, and violence. We in this room are the leaders of our peoples. They look to us for answers and for action. And when we look back at their faces, behind every pair of eyes is a soul that yearns for justice and yearns for peace. Today, billions of faces are now looking at us, waiting for us to act on the great question of our time. Will we be indifferent in the presence of evil? Will we protect our citizens from its violent ideology? Will we let its venom spread through our societies? Will we let it destroy the most holy sites on earth? If we do not confront this deadly terror, we know what the future will bring. More suffering, more death, and more despair. But if we act, if we leave this magnificent room unified and determined to do what it takes to destroy the terror that threatens the world, then there is no limit to the great future our citizens will have. The birthplace of civilization is waiting to begin a new renaissance. Just imagine what tomorrow could bring. Glorious wonders of science, art, medicine, and commerce to inspire mankind. Great cities built on the ruins of shattered towns. New jobs and industries that will lift up millions and millions of people. Parents who no longer worry for their children, their families, and who no longer mourn for their loved ones, and the faithful who finally worship without fear. These are the blessings of prosperity and peace. These are the desires that burn with a righteous flame in every single human heart. And these are the just demands of our beloved people. I ask you to join me, to join together, to work together, and to fight together, because united, we will not fail. We cannot fail. Nobody, absolutely nobody, can beat us. Thank you. God bless you. God bless your countries. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I would like to thank Your Excellency for this historic, valuable speech that the whole world would remember.
أختر والآن علي أن أعطي الكلمة لصاحب الجلالة الملك عبد الله الثاني فليتفضل إن شاء الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد النبي العربي الهاشمي الأمين. أصحاب الجلالة والفخامة والسمو، فخامة الرئيس دونالد ترامب، أصحاب المعالي والسعادة، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. وبعد، فيسرني في البداية أن أتوجه بالشكر والتقدير إلى أخي خادم الحرمين الشريفين الملك سلمان بن عبد العزيز وإلى المملكة العربية السعودية على استضافة هذه القمة وكرم الضيافة. Mr. President, allow me to express my gratitude for taking this step to reach out to Muslim nations and making it a priority on your first foreign tour as President of the United States. We meet today to advance an effective response to the serious threats facing our world. The future for all of us will be shaped by the actions, as you have pointed out, that we take now. And we all have to work in partnership in 4 key areas. And let me say a brief word about each. First and foremost is the grave challenge of terrorism and extremism. Only a holistic approach can address the complex layers of the threat, from its evil ideas to its attack on prosperity and security. As you have mentioned, this demands coordinated and global action at every level. Success requires our mutual trust as well as our strength. The fight will not be won if we do not recognize our friends as our friends and our enemies as our enemies. Terrorist groups employ a false religious identity. Their aim is to mislead and polarize our societies and peoples. Let us state here clearly, terrorist groups do not inhabit the fringes of Islam. They are altogether outside of Islam. They are Khawarij, outlaws of Islam. And Arabs and Muslims make up, as you pointed out, sir, the majority of their victims. Intolerance and ignorance will only aid terror groups. It is vital to help everyone, everywhere understand this. Mr. President, a second and equally vital challenge is a just and comprehensive settlement of the Palestinian cause based on the two-state solution and the Arab Peace Initiative. This can bring an end to the Palestinian-Israeli conflict and guarantees peace for all, Israelis, Arabs, and Muslims. No injustice has spread more bitter fruit than the absence of a Palestinian state. This is the core issue for our region, and it has driven radicalism and instability beyond our region and into the Muslim world. The international community has a direct interest in a just peace. The Arab and Muslim world has offered its full support for effective negotiations. And here, sir, I would like to thank you for your determination to work towards bringing a settlement to this festering conflict. We will stand by you, sir, and your efforts and work with you as partners. Third, safeguarding Jerusalem must be a priority. The Holy City is a strategic linchpin, vital to relationships among the 3 monotheistic faiths. Attempts to create new negotiating facts on the ground will have a catastrophic impact. All of us must engage in averting these dangers, and to me personally and to all Jordanians, the Hashemite custodianship of Islam's Islamic and Christian holy sites is an unbreakable historical responsibility and an honor to undertake on behalf of the Arab and Muslim nations. Mr. President, a fourth critical task is to sharpen public focus on the values that will protect and enrich humanity's future, mutual respect, compassion, and acceptance. In the Muslim world, the voice of traditional moderate Islam has been stronger in recent years. We need to continue to build on that. 12 years ago, we were proud to inaugurate the Amman message, which, among other outcomes, has been a historic global consensus by Muslim scholars agreeing who is a Muslim, forbidding takfir, and explicitly recognizing the validity of the 8 madhhabs of Islam. The 3 articles of the Amman message exposes the false claims of those who would exploit our religion to divide us. And as Allah says in the Holy Quran, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Innamal mu'minuna ikhwatun فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون. صدق الله العظيم. The believers are naught else than brothers Therefore make peace between your brethren and observe your duty to Allah, that haply you may obtain mercy. Mr. President, there are nearly 2 billion Muslim men and women today who enrich our world with their kindness, generosity, justice, civic family duty, and faith. Their lives express Islam's teachings on acceptance, humility before God, compassion, and peaceful coexistence. Our future is based on deeds, sir, not words. We are all accountable for our commitment to fight radicalization in all its forms.
Your Excellencies, His Excellency President Donald Trump, Your Excellencies, we have to support all our common efforts in order to be able, by God's will, to serve our people and our coming generations. And may God's peace and blessings be upon you all. Thank you for His Majesty the King. And I give the floor now to His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, President of the Arab Republic of Egypt. And may God bless him, and may God bless us all, and bless our
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أخي صاحب الجلالة الملك سلمان بن عبد العزيز، خادم الحرمين الشريفين وعاهل المملكة العربية السعودية الشقيقة، فخامة الرئيس دونالد ترامب رئيس الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية، أصحاب الجلالة والفخامة والسمو، اسمحوا لي في البداية أن أنقل إليكم تحية من مصر بمسلميها وأقباطها وحضارتها الممتدة عبر آلاف السنين، وأرضها التي كانت ملتقى للإسلام والمسيحية واليهودية، وإسهاماتها البارزة في تاريخ الإنسانية والعلم، حتى أصبحت رمزاً من رموز الاعتدال والوسطية والتنوير. إن اجتماعنا اليوم فضلاً عن أهميته السياسية يحمل قيمة رمزية غير خافية على أحد، إذ يعكس عزمنا الأكيد على تجديد الشراكة بين الدول العربية والإسلامية والولايات المتحدة الأمريكية، قاطعاً بذلك الطريق على أوهام دعاة صراع الحضارات الذين لا يتصورون العلاقة بين الشعوب إلا كصراع يقضي فيه طرف على الآخر، ويعجزون عن إدراك البغز الحقيقي لتنوع الحضارات والثقافات وما يتيح ذلك من إثراء للحياة وللتجربة الإنسانية، من خلال إعلاء قيم التعاون والتسامح وقبول الآخر واحترام حقه في الاختلاف. ولعلكم تتفقون معي في وجود مصلحة أكيدة لنا جميعا في ترسيخ هذه القيم الإنسانية، كما أن لنا أيضا دورا أساسيا في التصدي لمسببات الشقاق والصراع والتطرف، وأقصد تحديدا خطر الإرهاب الذي بات يمثل تهديدا جسيما لشعوب العالم أجمع. أصحاب الجلالة والفخامة والسمو، إن مواجهة خطر الإرهاب واستئصاله من جذوره يتطلب إلى جانب الإجراءات الأمنية والعسكرية مقاربة شاملة تتضمن الأبعاد السياسية والأيديولوجية والتنموية. وهنا يكون السؤال الحقيقي الذي يحتاج لمعالجة جادة وصريحة، هو كيف يمكن تفعيل هذه المقاربة الشاملة على أرض الواقع ووفقا لأي أساس. ولتسمحوا لي هنا أن أطرح 4 عناصر ضرورية في ذلك السياق. أولا، إن الحديث عن التصدي للإرهاب على نحو شامل يعني مواجهة جميع التنظيمات الإرهابية دون تمييز، فلا مجال لاختزال المواجهة في تنظيم أو اثنين، فالتنظيمات الإرهابية تنشط عبر شبكة سرطانية تجمعها روابط متعددة في معظم أنحاء العالم تشمل الأيديولوجية والتمويل والتنسيق العسكري والمعلوماتي والأمني. ومن هنا فلا مجال لاختصار المواجهة في مسرح عمليات واحد دون آخر، وإنما يقتضي النجاح في استئصال خطر الإرهاب أن نواجه جميع التنظيمات الإرهابية بشكل شامل ومتزامن على جميع الجبهات. وفي هذا السياق تعلمون جميعا أن مصر تخوض يوميا حربا ضروسا ضد التنظيمات الإرهابية في شمال سيناء، نحقق فيه انتصارات مستمرة وتقدما مضطردا، نحرص على ضبط وتيرته ونطاقه بحيث يتم استئصال الإرهاب بأقل خسائر ممكنة مع الحفاظ على أرواح المدنيين من أبناء شعبنا العظيم. إن معركتنا هي جزء من الحرب العالمية ضد الإرهاب، ونحن ملتزمون بهزيمة التنظيمات الإرهابية وحريصون على مد يد العون والشراكة لكل حلفائنا في المعركة ضد تلك التنظيمات في كل مكان. العنصر الثاني هو أن المواجهة الشاملة مع الإرهاب تعني بالضرورة مواجهة كافة أبعاد ظاهرة الإرهاب فيما يتصل بالتمويل والتسليح والدعم السياسي والأيديولوجي. فالإرهابي ليس فقط من يحمل السلاح، وإنما أيضا من يدربه ويموله ويسلحه ويوفر له الغطاء السياسي والأيديولوجي. ودعوني أتحدث بصراحة وأسأل: أين تتوفر الملاذات الآمنة للتنظيمات الإرهابية لتدريب المقاتلين ومعالجة المصابين منهم وإجراء الإحلال والتبديل لعتادهم ومقاتليهم؟ من الذي يشتري منهم الموارد الطبيعية التي يسيطرون عليها كالبترول مثلا؟ من الذي يتواطأ معهم عبر تجارة الآثار والمخدرات؟ ومن أين يحصلون على التبرعات المالية؟ وكيف يتوفر لهم وجود إعلامي عبر وسائل إعلام ارتضت أن تتحول لأبواق دعاية للتنظيمات الإرهابية؟ إن كل من يقوم بذلك هو شريك أصيل في الإرهاب. فهناك بكل أسف دول تورطت في دعم وتمويل المنظمات الإرهابية وتوفير الملاذات الآمنة لهم، كما أن هناك دولا تأبى أن تقدم ما لديها من معلومات وقواعد بيانات عن المقاتلين الإرهابيين الأجانب حتى مع الانتربول. أصحاب الجلالة والفخامة والسمو، ثالث عناصر الرؤية المصرية لمواجهة الإرهاب هي القضاء على قدرة تنظيماته على تجنيد مقاتلين جدد من خلال مواجهته بشكل شامل على المستويين الأيديولوجي والفكري. فالمعركة ضد الإرهاب هي معركة فكرية بامتياز، والمواجهة الناجحة للتنظيمات الإرهابية بحيث يجب أن تتضمن شل قدرتها على التجنيد واجتذاب المتعاطفين بتفسيرات مشوهة لتعاليم الأديان تخرجها عن مقاصدها السمحة وتنحرف بها لتحقيق أغراض سياسية. ولعلكم جميعا تذكرون أنني طرحت منذ عامين مبادرة لتصويب الخطاب الديني بحيث يفضي بذلك لثورة فكرية شاملة تظهر الجوهر الأصيل للدين الإسلامي السمح وتواجه محاولات اختطاف الدين ومصادرته لصالح تفسيرات خاطئة وذرائع لتبرير جرائم لا مكان لها في عقيدتنا وتعليم ديننا. إنني أتابع تنفيذ هذه المبادرة مع المؤسسات الدينية العريقة في مصر، وعلى رأسها الأزهر الشريف بما يمثله من مرجعية للإسلام الوسطي المعتدل، وبالتعاون مع قادة الفكر والرأي في العالمين العربي والإسلامي، واثقا أن هذا الجانب لا يقل أهمية عن المواجهة الميدانية لاستئصال التنظيمات الإرهابية. أصحاب الجلالة والفخامة والسمو، أخيرا وليس آخرا، لا مفر من الاعتراف بأن الشرط الضروري الذي يوفر البيئة الحاضنة للتنظيمات الإرهابية هو تفكك وزعزعة استقرار مؤسسات الدولة الوطنية في منطقتنا العربية. وليس بخاف عليكم أننا واجهنا في الأعوام الأخيرة محاولات ممنهجة وممولة تمويلا واسعا لتفكيك مؤسسات دولنا وإغراق المنطقة في فراغ مدمر وفر البيئة المثالية لظهور التنظيمات الإرهابية واستنزاف شعوبنا في صراعات طائفية وعرقية. إن ملء الفراغ الذي ينمو وينتشر فيه الإرهاب يستلزم بذل كل الجهد من أجل استعادة وتعزيز وحدة واستقلال وكفاءة مؤسسات الدولة الوطنية في العالم العربي، بما في ذلك تلبية تطلعات وإرادة الشعوب نحو النهوض بالدولة من خلال تكريس مسيرة الإصلاح السياسي والاقتصادي والاجتماعي والوفاء بمعايير الحكم الرشيد واحترام حقوق الإنسان وترسيخ مفاهيم دولة القانون والمواطنة واحترام المرأة وتمكين الشباب. وخلال السنوات القليلة الماضية قدمت مصر نموذجا تاريخيا لاستعادة مؤسسات دولتها الوطنية بشكل سلمي وحضاري عن طريق تفعيل الإرادة الشعبية الجارفة التي رفضت جميع محاولات اختطاف الدولة المصرية العريقة وتجريف هويتها الوطنية التي تشكلت على مدار زمان طويل بطول تاريخ مصر الراسخ في الزمن. ويستمر الشعب المصري بعد استعادته لدولته في بناء وزيادة كفاءة مؤسساته الوطنية متقدما يوما بعد يوم على مسار الإصلاح السياسي والاقتصادي والاجتماعي. كما تدعم مصر بكل قواها كافة الجهود الرامية لتسوية أزمات المنطقة بما يحافظ على وحدة وسيادة الدول الوطنية وسلامتها الإقليمية وحمايتها من قوى التطرف والتشرذم الطائفي، وترفض رفضا قاطعا كل محاولات التدخل في الشؤون الداخلية للدول العربية والإسلامية أو إزجاء وتأجيج الفتن الطائفية التي تمثل البيئة الخصبة لنمو الإرهاب وانهيار الدولة الوطنية. ودعوني أصارحكم بأن جهودنا في مكافحة الإرهاب والقضاء عليه لا يمكن أن يكتب لها النجاح وتصبح واقعا ملموسا إلا من خلال تسوية القضية الفلسطينية عن طريق حل عادل وشامل ونهائي على أساس مبدأ حل الدولتين ومرجعيات الشرعية الدولية ذات الصلة، بما يوفر واقعا جديدا لكافة شعوب المنطقة تنعم فيه بالازدهار والسلام والأمان، فضلا عن هدم أحد الأسانيد التي يعتمد عليها الإرهاب في تبرير جرائمه البشعة. أصحاب الجلالة والفخامة والسمو، لقد أردت أن أشارككم العناصر الأربعة التي تقوم عليها رؤية مصر لدحر الإرهاب، إيمانا بأنه الخطر الأكبر الذي يواجهنا جميعا، وبأن المواجهة الشاملة معه على أساس المحاور الأربعة التي ذكرتها يجب أن تمثل أساسا لمرحلة جديدة من التعاون بين دولنا وشعوبنا. ويطيب لي أن أعرب عن تقديري للرؤية الثاقبة للرئيس ترامب الذي طرح منذ بداية ولايته سياسة صارمة إزاء التعامل مع التحديات الإرهابية، وأكدها أمامنا اليوم، ولا يخالجني أدنى شك في أن الولايات المتحدة قادرة على المساهمة في إحداث النقلة النوعية المطلوبة دوليا فيما يتصل بتنفيذ الاستراتيجية الشاملة التي تناولت عناصرها اليوم، بحيث يتم صياغة خطة عمل واضحة بإطار زمني محدد تجتاث الإرهاب من جذوره تمويلا وتسليحا، وتحرم شبكاته من ملاذاتها الآمنة، بما في ذلك من خلال التصدي الفعال للتيارات التي تحاول أن تختبئ وتسوق نفسها ككيانات سياسية، وما هي إلا الحاضنة الطبيعية للإرهابيين وللتغلغل في المجتمعات، ليتسنى لها استغلال الفرصة المواتية للانقضاض على الإرادة الشعبية وممارسة سياساتها الإقصائية المتطرفة. إن مصر كانت رائدة دائما في السلام والانفتاح على مختلف الشعوب والثقافات، وسيبقى الشعب المصري دائما سباقا في ميدان التعاون والتواصل لجميع الأصدقاء والشركاء في المنطقة والعالم بأسره. وفقنا الله جميعا لما فيه خير شعوبنا، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته، وشكرا.
أشكر فخامتكم ونؤيدكم في ما ذكرتموه، وسندعمكم المملكة العربية السعودية بكل قوة وعطاء ونتمنى لكم التوفيق إن شاء الله. والكلمة الآن لفخامة الرئيس جوكو وزير جمهورية إندونيسيا.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Your Majesty King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al-Saud, Your Excellency President of the United States of America Donald Trump, Your Excellency the leaders of Islamic State. This meeting has an important meaning to send the message that partnership of the Islamic world with the United States of America to eliminate the perception that the United States perceive Islam as an enemy. More importantly, this meeting should be able to enhance the cooperation to combat terrorism and to convey the message of peace to the world. Your Excellencies, the threat of radicalism and terrorism occurs in every part of the world. Indonesia is one of the victims of terrorism acts. Bomb attacks in Bali in 2002 and 2005. Bomb attack in Jakarta took place in January 2016. The world condemns and in sorrow for the casualties of the terrorism acts in many parts of the world. France, Belgium, the United Kingdom, Australia, etc. The Muslims are the most victims of conflict and terrorism radicalism. Millions of our brothers and sisters must be displaced from their own countries to seek for better lives. Millions of young generation lost hope for their future. Such conditions bring the youth in frustration and anger. This anger and frustration can lead to the emergence of new seeds of extremism and radicalism. Your Excellencies, the history teaches us that weapon and military forces solely will not be able to fight terrorism. False thinking can only be altered by a right way of thinking. This is where Indonesia believes that it is important to balance the hard power approach with soft power approach. In addition to hard power approach, Indonesia also prioritizes soft power approach through religious and cultural approaches. For instance, for the eradication program, Indonesian authorities involve the communities, families, including the families of ex-convict of repentant terrorists and community organization. As for counter-radicalization, we, among others, recruit young netizens with many followers to spread peaceful messages. We also involve the two biggest Islamic organizations in Indonesia, namely Muhammadiyah and Nahdlatul Ulama, to continue to promote peaceful and tolerant Islam. It is peaceful messages that we have to multiply, not violent messages. Any violence will give birth to the new violence. To conclude, I would like to convey some thoughts. First, Muslims all over the world should unite. Unite to enhance ukhuwah Islamiyah, Islamic brotherhood. The unity of Muslims is the key to success of combating terrorism. Do not run our energy out for enmity. Second, the cooperation on combating terrorism and radicalism should be improved, including intelligent information sharing, exchange in addressing the foreign terrorist factors, capacity building, and all funding sources must be stopped. Third, the effort to solve the root of problems should be improved. Inequality and injustice must be halted. Inclusive economic empowerment should be strengthened. Fourth, counter-narratives that emphasize intolerance and peace should continue to be intensified, particularly through the use of information technology. Your Excellencies, lastly, it is my fervent hope that each of us must be courageous to be a part of the solution. Each of us must be part of the effort to realize world peace. Thank you. God bless you.
I would like to express my thanks to Your Excellency, and I give the floor to
صباحان أحمد أمير دولة الكويت.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. خادم الحرمين الشريفين أخ الملك سلمان بن عبد العزيز آل سعود ملك المملكة العربية السعودية الشقيقة، فخامة الصديق الرئيس دونالد ترامب رئيس الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية الصديقة، أصحاب الجلالة والفخامة والسمو، أصحاب المعالي والسعادة، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يسرني في البداية أن أعرب عن بالغ سرورنا لعقد أول قمة إسلامية أمريكية على أرض الحرمين الشريفين، ونتوجه ببالغ التقدير لفخامة الصديق دونالد ترامب على حرصه لعقد هذه القمة وفي هذه الظروف الدقيقة، لتعبر عن رسالة واضحة تؤكد أهمية التعاون الإسلامي الأمريكي لمواجهة التحديات التي تتعرض لها المنطقة والعالم، وتعبر للعالم أجمع عن أهمية ودور الدول الإسلامية. إن هذه القمة تؤكد للعالم بأن الدول الإسلامية حريصة على التعاون مع الدول الصديقة والحليفة لمواجهة ظاهرة الإرهاب المتنامية، كما أنها تمثل ردا وتصديا للاتهامات التي تتعرض لها الدول الإسلامية بالادعاء برعايتها للإرهاب والتستر عليه، فتعطي بذلك الصورة المشرقة للإسلام الرافض للتطرف والتشدد الداعي إلى التسامح مع كل الأديان. أصحاب الجلالة والفخامة والسمو، إن هذه القمة وباعتبارها الأولى من نوعها فإننا نعتقد بأنها تمثل فرصة للدول الإسلامية للتعاون والتنسيق مع الولايات المتحدة لرسم خارطة طريق لمستقبل جهودنا المشتركة في التصدي لظاهرة الإرهاب البغيضة وكل مظاهر العنف والتطرف، لنحقق معا ما نتطلع إليه من نتائج إيجابية وبناءة على مستوى تحركنا المشترك لهزيمة الإرهاب والتصدي له، الأمر الذي يدعو إلى التفكير ورعاية نهجنا الجديد لتكون هذه القمة آلية منتظمة بيننا نؤسس من خلالها عملا مشتركا بناء ومؤثرا في جهودنا لمواجهة التحديات. أصحاب الجلالة والفخامة والسمو، لقد قمنا في دول المجلس بإجراءات عديدة ومبادرات متعددة على المستوى الإقليمي والدولي للإسلام في الجهود الهادفة إلى نبذ التطرف وإشاعة روح التسامح في العالم. ويأتي افتتاح المملكة العربية السعودية الشقيقة للمركز العالمي لمكافحة الفكر المتطرف يمثل تأكيد وتجسيد على التزامنا بهذا النهج المتسامح، ومما يدعو إلى الارتياح أن يتزامن ذلك الافتتاح مع انعقاد القمة الإسلامية الأمريكية الأولى في الرياض، لتوجه بذلك رسالة قاطعة إلى كل المشككين والمتطرفين في كل أنحاء العالم بأننا لن نتردد عن مواصلة مكافحة فكرهم المتطرف ونهجهم السام. أصحاب الجلالة والفخامة والسمو، نتطلع بآمل وتفاؤل إلى قمتنا هذه بأن نحقق من خلال تعاوننا وتفهمنا لأبعاد قضايانا مدخلا لمعالجة هموم المنطقة ومشاكلها، وفي مقدمتها مسيرة السلام في الشرق الأوسط والوضع في سوريا والعراق وكذلك اليمن وليبيا، لنتمكن من خلال تلك المعالجة من تحقيق الأمن والاستقرار الذي نتطلع إليه، والذي يشكل أساسا لكل الجهود الهادفة إلى القضاء على الفكر المتطرف والعمل الإرهابي البغيض. وفي الختام أكرر الشكر والتقدير لكم جميعا، متمنيا لأعمال قمتنا التاريخية كل التوفيق والسداد، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
أشكر سمو أخي الشيخ صباح على كلمته الصافية، وأرجو له التوفيق، وأعطي الكلمة الآن رئيس وزراء ماليزيا محمد نجيب عبد الرزاق.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Your Majesty, King Salman bin Abdulaziz, President Donald Trump, Your Majesties, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start by extending my special thanks to His Majesty King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al-Saud, the custodian of the two holy mosques, and the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for initiating this historic Arab-Islamic US Summit. I would also like to thank you, President Trump, for reaching out to establish a new strategic partnership with the Muslim world to fight violent extremism and global terrorism. Your Majesty, we in Malaysia were delighted and honored to receive you recently. It was truly a momentous chapter in our bilateral relations. Your visit was a demonstration of the love, warmth, respect, and gratitude between our peoples. Your Majesty, this summit could not be more timely. The world needs to be reminded that the Muslim nations present today completely condemn terrorism and violent extremism. The world should have no doubt that we stand collectively with the international community in a fight to eradicate this global menace. We in Malaysia have not flagged in our efforts to combat the spread of radicalism. Towards this end, my government has promoted the concept of Wasatiyah, which is the Quranic injunction towards moderation. I call for the establishment of a global movement of moderation at the United States in 2010, and we have set up a foundation to support that in Kuala Lumpur. And our De-Radicalization program has had a remarkable 95% success rate in reintegrating former extremists. Malaysia stands ready to share our expertise, just as we have long worked with partners around the world. In 2015, Malaysia and the United States worked to establish the Digital Strategic Communications Diversion to counter the negative messaging of terrorism. We have worked with Australia to stop the flow of funding for terrorist groups, with the UK and France in 7 flagship areas, which include cyber terrorism, as well as youth and the path to terrorism. Your Majesty, amongst the major agreements reached during your recent state visit is the establishment of the King Salman Center for International Peace in Kuala Lumpur. This center, which is a landmark collaboration between our countries in our fight against extremism, will begin operations in June 2017 after its launching by His Highness the Deputy Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. Your Majesty, due to religious and cultural affinity, our people have always felt close to the peoples and countries in this region. Current instability in the region has thus raised much concern to us all. Unstable regions are fertile grounds for terrorism to flourish. I am aware that there is a widespread belief here that Iran has contributed largely to the instability in the region. As a country that enjoys and values good relations with countries in the region, Malaysia feels that Iran must avoid and should avoid any action that could be seen as interfering in the internal affairs of its neighbors. This is not only for the sake of regional stability, but also for the unity of the Ummah. Your Majesty, the fight against terrorism is not just military. It is also about winning hearts and minds. To do this, a credible narrative needs to be told, in which Islam and modernity are compatible. Material progress and religious devotion go hand in hand, and religious knowledge and scientific inquiry mutually reinforce one another. In Malaysia and many parts of the Muslim world, this is our reality. We must, however, emphasize and reinforce our stories so that the true Islam is known the world over, while at the same time we coordinate to crush Daesh and their allies wherever their malign presence is felt. Let me conclude by thanking the Custodian of the 2 holy mosques for this initiative, which signals to the community of nations that Muslim countries are united in a desire to eradicate terrorism. Your Majesty, you can be rest assured that Malaysia is steadfast and resolute in its support to the Kingdom and your leadership as the Custodian of the 2 holy mosques. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أصحاب الجلالة والصاحب الفخامة والسمو، أود أن أتقدم ببلغ الشكر والتقدير لكم جميعا على تفضلكم بالمشاركة في هذه القمة التاريخية. وقد كان بودنا أن نعطي الكلمة لكل واحد منكم، لكن برنامجكم يتطلب توجه جميعا لمقر مركز مكافحة التطرف. وأشكر مرة أخرى الرئيس ترامب على مشاركته في هذه القمة التاريخية وعن انتهاء عمل القمة. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you.